And we're back, and it is one of my favourite jobs and favourite things to grow today, and it is garlic. We've got the cloves, we've got the bulbs. We will get into all that types of varieties, how I'm doing it, why I'm doing it. Honestly, it is so easy to grow garlic. Anybody can do it. Anybody can do it. I can tell you, if I can do it, you can do it. And I'm going to do it two different ways. And last year, I did it these two different ways, and it worked out really well. Both ways worked brilliantly. So two different ways that you can try it. And again, both of them dead simple. And you've got a little bonus, and you might think, but he's already got some garlic on the go. Look at it. I can see it right in front of you in that tray. And I do. And this is a mystery garlic, but we'll come to exactly what this is towards the end of the video, because it's a little bit of an experiment, and I'll tell you about that and how it's going to look and how it's going to go on throughout the year. But anyway, enough of me waffling on about mystery garlic. We'll get set up over here and we'll get the actual this year's garlic on the go. Right, so first things first, this garlic here that I've already taken out of the bag is indeed garlic Provence white, and you can see it comes from Grown Local. Get our garlic from Grown Local. Please get your garlic from Grown Local. It is brilliant. Now, Provence white is indeed, if I can break it up out of here, a soft neck variety. Generally, you can see here, honestly, the garlic like last year when it came from Grown Local is massive. It is giant. The cloves we get out of the bulb are giant, and it grew giant garlic. So I'm hoping for much of the same this year. Now, some people you'll see out there, and honestly, each to their own. If people like doing this, you know, good on them, crack on. But you see, when you're splitting up the garlic out of the bulb, so you want to split the bulb and you want the cloves, and the cloves are what's going to grow into next year's bulbs. I just take, like, sort of, you can see what I'm doing here, most-ish, kind of some of the outer papery skin out. Now, some people will go to the nth degree in doing this sort of stuff and try and take it all off, and they'll take the little bit off at the top here, and people will scrub the bottom or try and scuff it up and things. And yeah, I mean, life's too short for that, man. Honestly, you don't. If you want to do that, if you want to faff about doing that, crack on. If it works for you, brilliant, do it. All good, all fine by me. I've got no qualms with that. But for me, life's just a bit short. This is how I do mine. You can see there, look, if I can pull that bit off the top, that's kind of how they look. I've just sort of got anything I can sort of rub off with my hands. Within a couple of minutes of doing that, job done. So we'll do the soft neck first. We've got a hard neck variety of garlic, and we'll chat maybe it's just a little bit about the differences in the varieties there. So the soft neck one, like I say, generally grows to be a little bit bigger than the hard neck one, but the good thing, the soft neck does generally grow a little bit bigger than the hard neck one. But you know, we're not gonna worry too much about that, because hopefully from both types we will get a good crop. Now, some people don't do cell trays either. I like to start my garlic off in a cell tray, and nearly everything I grow I will generally do in cell trays first of all, including the garlic. Now, with the garlic, this sort of rough endy bit, that's the bit you want down the bottom. The pointy-ish bit, let me find a better bit there. Look, the pointy bit goes up the top, and it's as simple as that. And I'm going to push it in. You can see there on the camera, deepish. I usually like to let the little bit, just a little bit poking up at the top there, just a tiny little bit. Some people will push it in a lot deeper than I do it, but this is how I do it, and generally, year after year, get really good results. And again, like I was saying before, some people will just put it in the ground straight away, straight outside, in the ground, plant it out, off it goes. Job's a good one. If it works for you. Brilliant, crack on. Do it the way you want. This is the way I do it though. And it's the way I like to do it. and I like to faff a bit. So I'm totally okay with doing it in the cell trays, getting it on the go in the greenhouse first, watching it go, watching it kick off, then transferring it to the bed, up the allotment, nice and straightforward. The only thing really that you've just got to be aware of when you're doing it in the cell trays, that garlic has really big, strong roots, and the roots come out quite quick. And what you'll find, if you don't keep an eye on it, when those roots go down into the compost in the cell tray, it'll push the clove up and it'll start to push up out of the cell tray. So just once you've done it, and once you see them starting to grow and move and the little green shoots coming up, just keep a little bit of an eye on it, because if it starts to push up, just give it a bit of a shove back down to keep it nicely rooted inside the compost. And I'm so proud of myself again. I have got my label right here. Let me get the right label for Province White to go in here. Sown today on the 1st of November. Let me move that one out the way over here, and we'll get on with our hardneck variety. Now, the good thing about hardneck garlic is, and I'll come to what variety I'm doing in just a moment, is when you grow hardneck garlic, you generally get a little bit of a brucey bonus. Now, if you time it right, and if you grow it right, so we're sowing it now, we're starting to sow these now in November. And if you don't get started in November, it's not the end of the world. You can probably sow garlic all the way through to end of February. You do need to make sure it catches a frost or two, because that's what's going to split it up and make it into cloves instead of just one big lump of garlic, which would be funny if you just got one big lump of garlic. I must admit, that would be quite funny. But maybe it's not the most practical thing to use. But yeah, pretty much up to the end of February, I reckon you'll get away with sowing it. Maybe it's even a little bit later, depending on where you are in the world, in the country. You know, you'll know better your climate than I will. But the good thing about hardneck garlic is, if you're sowing it now, November, and this will probably see us all the way through, and I'll probably harvest this in around about July. So when I say July, I'm also talking middle to the end of July, probably closer to August than it is to June, that's for sure. But you can see the hardneck is a little bit smaller, but it gives us that brucey bonus crop of garlic scapes. So garlic scapes is when the garlic starts to flower. So the scape comes up and you can harvest them. So before it bursts into a full flower, you can harvest them and you can chop it up. And it's like a big long green stem you can chop up and you can cook into things, and it's got a lovely taste to it. It does have a sort of a garlicky sort of taste, but it's a lot milder than the actual garlic itself. But like I say, little bit of a brucey bonus sort of crop that you get from your hardneck. But remembering these hardneck cloves, let me show you them there. You can see them there. See them on this camera as well. They aren't as big as a softneck, generally-ish speaking. And you might notice I am using a smaller cell tray for the hardneck one as well. I mean, I would love to stand here on camera and say I've done that on purpose because I knew the hardneck was smaller. But no, I used that other bigger tray for the for the garlic experiment sort of thing that I will come to in just a moment there. And then I don't have any big cell trays left, so that was the end of my big cell trays. So we are using this slightly smaller one, which will be absolutely fine. There's no problem using a slightly smaller one. I'm just using the bigger ones because I've got them. But we will keep an eye on this, much like we will for the soft neck, for it getting sort of pushed up, for the cloves getting pushed up out of the compost as those roots start to dig in nice and deep. But I reckon these will be in here in the greenhouse 4 to 6 weeks and they'll go out. So maybe it's looking this beginning to the middle of December. These will be ready, off they'll go, out up to the plot, and they'll be absolutely smashing. Right, so I say method number 1 couldn't be easy enough. Cloves in the cell trays, 4 to 6 weeks, out into the ground, job's a good one. Method number 2, even easier. We've got some of these potato buckets. I can't remember. They're either 30 or 35 litres. I'll put a link in the description down below. You can go and see the ones I use. Now, I've had these buckets 4 to 5 years. Used them absolutely loads. Generally, I do potatoes in them. Also done garlic and carrots. Now, the garlic idea, we 100% stole from Eli and Kate. I saw Eli and Kate doing it. Thought, give it a try. Tried it last year for the first time. Absolutely brilliant. And honestly, it couldn't be any easier. And pretty cheap. Like I say, these buckets, 4 or 5 years old. The compost in here, probably 4 or 5 years old as well. What I have done is I've mixed in a handful of fish blood and bone, because garlic can be a little bit hungry. So you've got that nutrition back into the compost there. And hands up, there's probably 2 handfuls of fresh compost out the bag on the top there. And that's just because when you're harvesting the potatoes or whatever else is in here beforehand, you always naturally lose a bit of compost. You spill a bit. There's a bit stuck to the potatoes when you pull them out or whatever. So one of these buckets, we've got the hardneck variety here, and I'm literally just going to push it in to about that same sort of height you saw before, where there's just a tiny little bit poking up. I'm probably going to put one. We want to space them out as much as we can in the bucket, but in one of these buckets I'm using 4 cloves, which I did last year, and again it was smashing, just the right size. I've probably got one at about, if this is a clock, if that's 12 o'clock right here, I've probably got one here at about 10:30, one here at about 1:30. This one here is maybe about, I don't know, 4 o'clock. This one here about 7 o'clock. So I've got them spaced out as best I can. And we're just going to do exactly the same over here, just making sure I've got the pointy end up and the sort of rough scruffy end down, and I'm going to put them in exactly the same way in there, and there we go, 2 buckets done. Give them a bit of water, stick a label in there, watch them grow. Off they go. They're just going to get stuck outside up at the allotment. They're just going to sit there and off they go. Hopefully when it comes to July we'll come back and we'll have lots of garlic to harvest. But speaking of which, I've got the mystery garlic to show you. Let me shift the camera back up there because my knees aren't doing too great on this gravel, and I'll show you what I'm up to with that as well. So, the mystery garlic. But first off, you might be thinking, it looks a bit darker than it did before. And is that the moon we can just sort of see over there? Well, yes, it is, because I often find when I'm recording these YouTube videos that when you want to film a particular bit, if you actually press the record button on the camera, it works way better than if you don't press the record button. So here we are, when it's a little bit darker, to do mystery garlic. Now the mystery garlic, you can already see, it is well on the way. It has started to sprout. It is growing, and there's a little bit of a story behind it. So this isn't sort of seed garlic, as you'd call it. Now, hands up, as I mentioned before, I'm a big advocate of getting the proper seed garlic from a proper supplier like Grown Local and growing that. It is bred not to have diseases, it's looked after properly, it's stored properly, ready for people growing it. Do it, it'll probably be better. This, however, is garlic from a supermarket. And it's not just any garlic. This is Marks and Spencer's garlic. Now, I did have every intention of making this experiment as cheap as possible by going to Aldi and getting the garlic from there. But there's 4-way temporary traffic lights at Aldi, and I am not waiting in that queue to get into a supermarket. So I have paid the extra 50 pence for the Marks and Spencer's garlic. So admittedly, it does have about, I don't know, a 2-week head start on the other garlic. I did film it when I did it, and I was going to do a whole video experiment, all that sort of stuff. The video was rubbish. I had a different camera. It didn't look very good. I don't want to put rubbish videos out there for you guys. Deleted it, and I thought, well, just do a bit of a catch-up at the end of this video. So the idea is, it's in the same compost, it's got the same perlite, it's been watered the same, it's going to go the same allotment, in the same bed, it'll get the same sun, it'll get the same rain. And we will come to July and we'll just have a little look and we'll see how the stuff from the proper seed garlic suppliers look compared to stuff that I bought from the supermarket. Now, before I planted this and when I did the old video, I did do a bit of a sort of side-by-side comparison from one of the bulbs of garlic that I've still got from last year and the bulb that I got from the supermarket. And honestly, I kid you not, the bulb from the supermarket was like that. And the one that had grown from the proper sort of seed garlic was like that. There was a significant difference. But we'll have a bit of fun with it, a bit of play about, and it's always nice, a bit entertaining, a bit of something for you guys on YouTube. Do a bit of bit of compare, bit of contrast. We'll see how they look come July, sort of August sort of time, just for a bit of fun. Anyway, that is me done for today. Thank you for watching, folks, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.